Hey guys, welcome to season 5 of Today with Ray. I'm your host, Ray Mati, and this is the show that highlights everyday entrepreneurs. This week, I have a young lady that needs no introduction. Some may know her from the Food Network, some may know her from Glow. This week, we have Judy Girard. How are you?
I'm good. It's very, very nice to be here.
I'm so happy. So I don't even know if you remember the story of how I got you to come on the show.
I don't actually.
I was at the Glow fundraiser and I was sitting at a table and I was like, I really need a good person to start off season 5. And the whole table was like, ask Judy. I was like, I am not asking Judy. So someone who be left unnamed, Laura Brogdon Primavera, was like, hey, just corner her at the bathroom when she comes out. And I was like, well, that seems dumb. But what did I do? I got up and when I saw you go to the restroom and I was like, hey, sorry to beeline you like this, but I have this talk show. I'm very interested in your story. And here she is, ladies and gentlemen. So boldness works.
Interesting story.
Oh, you do. You do. So as we start, again, like I mentioned, some of you know her from the Food Network. Some of you know her from Glow. So we're going to take a journey down memory lane.
Okay.
To start the story. Everyone knows I talk about entrepreneurship, but Judy, you've lived such a robust life that we kind of have to talk about what happened first before Glow Academy. So walk us through your choice to start on the Food Network.
Start with Food Network.
Yes, ma'am.
Food Network was the last place I would want to work. I don't cook. I don't like fancy food.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely the last place I would want to work. And I had gone to LA a year or so before that, taken a job with Disney. Only job I ever took for the money.
Okay.
And it was a disaster. Don't ever, ever take a job for the money. I had no heart and soul in it whatsoever. Right. I couldn't stand it. Oh, God. And so when Ken Lowe, who had bought the Food Network and it was doing just awful, he had started HGTV, it was doing okay, but then he bought the Food Network and it was a disaster. And he said, he called me and he said, why don't you come fool around with the Food Network and see if you can fix it? Mm-hmm. And I said, where is it? And he said, it's in New York.
Okay.
So I had started to get serious about this guy at Disney. Here I am, 50-some years old, never been married, don't want to be married. And there's this guy that I'm attracted to. And I thought, this is only because I don't like this job. That's why I'm attracted to this guy. So I said to Ken, sure, I'll go to New York and run the Food Network. And because I figured that's 3,000 miles away. I'll settle back down. Everything will be great. And I got there. And the very first day Emerald came in, I love Emerald to death. He is one of the greatest human beings on the earth. Most of the chefs are. Mm-hmm. They are just so giving. It's part of the deal.
Right.
He came in and he said, there's this nasty rumor going around that you don't cook. And I said, well, it's not a rumor.
It's true.
He said, oh, okay. He said, do you have a plan for this place?
Right.
I said, nope. He said, you have no plan whatsoever? Mm-hmm. I said, nope, nothing. And he was doing a 5-night-a-week show. He was the only one that was, and it was doing okay. It wasn't doing great, but it was doing okay. And he said, the next day he came in and he said, I've been thinking, there's only one person that's had a successful talk show, food show, let me put it that way. And he said, and that's Julia Child. Okay. It was on PBS for like 5 years at that point. Mm-hmm. And I said, don't you think it's her voice, though, and her mannerisms and whatever? He said, I don't know. I would go ask her, go up and ask her. I'll set it up for you to go see her. Ask her what she does. So I went up. She could not have been more gracious. And I said, so I'm taking over the Food Network and it's boring and nobody watches it. And I said, and I don't cook.
Right.
And blah, 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 blah. And she said, oh, they've got the network all screwed up. I said, they do. But what are you seeing? How do you see it? And she said, they think it's about the food. It's not about the food at all. Food is just the language. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be entertaining.
Very true.
And I came back to Emerald and I said, so that's pretty good. That's what we have to do. And he said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to give me a good budget. You're going to stay out of my way. I don't want to hear from you for a whole year.
A whole year?
He said, you're going to give me a band.
Okay.
I want a 7-piece band. I said, on a food show, you want a band?
Entertainment.
Give me the room, and let's see where we go from there.
Okay.
And I won't quit until it doesn't work, or it'll work. One way or the other, I won't quit for 6 months. I said, okay. And that's what we did. And he had a great sense of entertaining, Emerald did, and using food to entertain. He just was such a natural.
Very true.
And the show took off really right away. And it was complicated because we weren't allowed to go after HGTV's audience.
Okay.
We had to cultivate a different audience since they were competing in the same company. And so it got really bogged down and whatever. But Emerald just kept going. He pulled it out. And then we found a chef. He and I found a chef we liked. And I don't remember who it was. Well, I won't even say it because he ended up going to jail. He started, we taped like 300 shows with this guy, and we were going to put him every night after Emerald.
Right.
And at 9 o'clock. And he got arrested for fraud, restaurant fraud. And what he was doing, which a lot of people do, you have to be careful even today of this, is they bring you your bill, right? You sign it. They take it back and they add something more to, and they get extra money that way. And so this guy was on the front page of the Post with did this, that, and the other thing. So we had to kill his show. I said to him, I don't know what we're going to do. We got nobody. We got nothing. And we just spent half our budget on this guy. And an intern, college intern, came in. And he said, do you ever watch Japanese television on the New York cable system? I said, no. Never. I didn't even know there was Japanese television. He said, look at this show called Iron Chef. He said, I think if we dub it, he said, it's been on forever, so there must be millions of episodes, which there were like 1,600 episodes. And he said, and if we were to dub it, he says, I think it would be entertaining and funny. And we were so desperate for a show, that's what we did. And it took off. Absolutely. It took off immediately. It really was entertainment. It's still on.
It's still on. I still watch it.
Highest rated shows. And this poor intern kid who did something very indiscreet on the road, maybe 3 or 6 months later, we had to fire him. Broke my heart because he really built the Food Network. Between him and Julia, they built the Food Network. And then the second phase of it was we couldn't find any more chefs. They're all so serious. They were so serious. They weren't personalities at all. They were in the kitchen, deadly serious about what they were doing. And I called Julia up and I said, I don't know where to go get talent. There's no talent. She said, go to Barnes & Noble, walk through the bookstore, look at all the brands that are cookbooks and see what's interesting. See if you can find 1 or 2 people. And that's how we found Ina Garten. That's how we found Rachel Ray. She was on 30 Minutes Meals, And so I take, everybody thinks I built the Food Network, which I love taking credit for. I had nothing to do with it. I had literally nothing to do with it. Emerald and Julia Child built the Food Network.
They were the brain and behind
and it's been successful ever since. And while it's still successful, it seems to me, and I don't know what I would do with it if I went back there. I have no answer for this. Everything is a contest on there.
Yeah.
Everything, it's starting to get, I don't know, a little weary, I think.
Except for Guy.
Guy?
Yeah. Just putting that out there. He's my favorite.
Is he? Well, I'm going to tell him that because I'm going to see him Sunday.
Well,
I'm going up to Boston to
tell him
taping he's doing.
There is a green-haired girl in Wilmington, North Carolina.
I will tell him.
Loves him.
We're going to tell him. We're going to record it on my phone.
You do that.
I'm going to tell him.
I will very much appreciate it. Yeah. So, funny story about Guy. Not that I know him. Sorry, Dad. I have to tell this story. Growing up, my dad looked exactly like Guy.
Really? With the hair?
The hair, the goatee. And I can neither confirm or deny that there were a couple of times we went into a restaurant and they thought that
Guy.
Nice meals. They were very gracious that day. So that's my story about Guy, but I love him.
Yeah, we're going to tape something. You'll say hello to him.
I will love that. Oh my gosh, my heart. So you progressed the Food Network. The funny story that they shared at the fundraiser when Bobby Flay was here is that he came onto the network and you immediately fired his show. Is that true? Yes. What was it? Willin' and Grillin' at that time?
Yeah, Grillin' and something.
Grillin' and Chillin'. It was
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious because I think that he's one of those top icons now on Food Network. So to hear that story was super hilarious.
And I actually was in the process of putting together a package to fire him.
Oh, gosh.
And I went down to his restaurant in Times Square for a meeting with him that I was going to present this package and say, this is the end of this. And I sat there and there was a crisis in his kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And the place was packed. It did really well. And it was packed. And there was this crisis going on. And I watched him handle his staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is the guy that should be on television.
Right.
And we retrained him a little bit. Mm-hmm. We focused him a little bit. And he's been a mainstay of that network ever since.
Yeah.
And he's a nice guy.
He really is. He really is. At that fundraiser, he was absolutely amazing. A lot shorter than I thought. Maybe it's the camera. We're going to cut that part out. But no, he was very gracious. He spent time to make sure all the kids were seen and heard. It was just... And
he was so mortified. You know, the kids challenged him to beat Bobby Flay.
And they beat.
They beat. And he wasn't
Bobby
faking
Flay.
it.
Yeah.
He lost all 5 rounds.
All 5. All 5. But that just shows kudos to those young women because they were great out there. So you have this wide, robust career at the Food Network.
Because I can't hold a job.
No. Because a little birdie told me that you actually won an Emmy.
I did win an Emmy.
So
lifetime achievement.
Exactly.
It's a big deal.
So
big deal.
it's a humongous deal.
It's a big deal.
So while you give the props to your brain children,
yes,
clearly you did amazing work to receive that. And you can hold down a job.
And there were also a lot of mistakes I made.
Hey, that's
not
the nature of
Food
it.
Network, but Lifetime and all over the place, there were a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. And that's
the nature.
That's the beauty of everything, is that we can learn and still progress and not hold ourselves down by some of the mistakes that we made. They're just learning curves.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest lessons I learned, is that I'm an ADD type person.
Okay.
Right. So, don't look for me for detail.
Right.
Don't look for me to read the school budget. It's never going to happen. And I think there are just certain jobs that I couldn't do, but I didn't know it. It took me years to figure out where ADD was actually a positive instead of a negative.
Right.
And where it was a negative. And so jobs like Disney, which have a business culture that's really tight and all the T's have to be, it's not as creative as everybody thinks it is by any means. It's not a good business culture.
Right.
It took me 20 years to figure out what's a good business culture, which is totally loose, like the Food Network, where there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So they let you do whatever you want, to what doesn't work for me, which is Disney or Lifetime, or some that were totally, you got to dot all the T's, you got to have the budget worked out, it doesn't work for me.
No. A lot of visionaries, which you are one, which we'll talk about in the other half, can't be nailed down so tightly because they have to big picture everything and they need creative liberty to just do whatever needs to be done. And I'm excited to talk about the other half. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're here with Judy Girard, the amazing, wonderful, Emmy award-winning personnel. We'll see you on the other half.
At K-Through Community College's Small Business Center, our mission is clear: to boost the number and success rate of viable small businesses in New Hanover and Pender County. We offer high quality, readily accessible assistance to prospective and existing small business owners, leading to job creation and retention. As a community-based provider, we offer education, training, counseling, referral, and information services, all at no charge. Remember, a business starts with an idea, but success begins with a plan. We're here to help you with that plan. To get started, visit our website at cfcc.edu/SBC or give us a call at 910-362-7469. Let's get started.
Discover the innovations shaping the future of our oceans. Join us on September 17th at the UNCW's Burney Center. Engage with leading experts like Mark Huang from Sea Ahead and Susan Casey, author of Voices in the Ocean. Participate in dynamic panel discussions on building a North Carolina Blue Hub, empowering communities, startup innovations and sustainability, and funding ocean innovations. Early registration ends August 1st, so register now to secure your seat. Be part of the change. See you there.
Hey guys, welcome back to the other half of the interview with Judy Girard. In the first half, we talked about everything Food Network that's led her up to what we're going to talk about in this half, which is the creation of Glow Academy. Again, rewinding a little bit, when you were in New York with the Food Network, you did a mentorship program with what is Glow's sister school, correct? The Harlem Girls School. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got introduced to that and loved it so much that you brought that concept down here to Wilmington.
They did it was started by Ann Tish, who is a remarkable human being. She had started it 5 or 6 years before that. And here I am in Harlem trying to help these kids do college interviews and things like that. There were about 100 of us, maybe, women. And she called us Cool Women Hot Jobs and really handpicked us to work with the kids. It was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
It's because they're so open to learning, and they're so open. I mean, they do have visions of themselves getting out of Harlem and getting out of New York and doing what they want to do and whatever. And it just touched me so much. It touched me so much. I came back to Wilmington, and I talked to the chancellor's wife at UNCW. I was volunteering at Rachel Freeman's school here at that point, and she was volunteering at one of the other schools. And we were having a really horrible experience watching these kids get suspended and yelled at all the time, and they can't behave, and all black schools in rundown neighborhoods, which is still to this day in Wilmington. I think one of the weakest things about Wilmington is schools have not really been integrated in any way. And so she said, let's start a school. I said, there's this great school in New York. She said, well, let's go see it and let's start it. And I thought, yeah, right. How do you do that? And next thing I knew, we had Chip from Live Oak Bank, and we had Ben Dave and Live Chip. Talk about changing a community. Everything that man does changes this community for the better. And we had Ben David, and we had the mayor, and we sat with 5 or 6 of the kids. It was October. I'll never forget this. And the kids had just gotten their college decisions that they were going to college. And Chip said to a young Hispanic girl there who was got a full ride to one of the colleges. And he said to her, what's the hardest thing about going to college? And she said, my parents are going to tell me I can't go.
Oh, wow.
And he said, why would they do that? She said, because in our culture, the kids come back and contribute work and contribute a paycheck. And college is not in the deal. And how could we afford it anyway? And Chip was so taken back by that. When we got to LaGuardia Airport, the 5 or 6 of us were sitting there, and Chip said, we got to do this.
Yeah.
We have to start a school for these kids. And my very first experience about being so touched by the reality of all of this was we asked the kids to write a pledge. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody on the staff said, let's cut one word on a paper and let's cut the paper up, and they can only use those words.
Okay.
So there were like 100 pieces of paper, and we had written all these words on it. And a lot of it had to do with success and money and ego and all that stuff.
Right.
And the kids threw all those out. Every single one they threw out. And the only ones they kept were those that were about never leave a sister behind.
Yep.
It was astounding. And so if you look at our pledge today, which I like to recite, but I don't know if I can remember it anymore. If you look at the pledge today, you'll see every single word in that pledge is about supporting each other.
Yes. And there's a fundraiser.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And from that point on, I thought these kids, they just need a chance.
Right.
That's all they need is a chance. They don't need handouts. They just need a clear path. And last year was our first graduating class.
Yes.
100% of the kids graduated.
Yes.
90-some% went to college. And of those, about 70% were totally paid.
Wow.
This community has really stepped up in a way that, I mean, we had no idea it would actually work, to be honest with you. We had no idea it was a charter school. Nobody likes charter schools,
Right.
blah, 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 blah. And it has definitely been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And just the kids astound me. The kids always astound me.
Yes. They are remarkable leaders already in their own right.
Yeah.
And I want to touch back on that. The school was started in 2016, correct?
Yes.
Can you walk us through, because normally the entrepreneurs that I talk about, they have pitfalls with brick and mortars. They have, certain things that align with small businesses or local businesses. Your journey is quite different in the fact of being a founder of a school. And I know there's probably different challenges, different pitfalls, different regulations, honestly.
Totally.
When it comes to starting that. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because it's not every day that we have someone that started a school on the show.
Well, I'd love to take credit for starting the school, but the fact is there were that day, and from that point on, there were 5 or 6 probably, very, very powerful people in this town that were on board. And that's what it took. And so it wasn't bogged down. I mean, they had connections in Raleigh. They got unbeknownst to me, my era took on the women's movement, right? And the only thing, frankly, I think measurable to come out of the women's movement was Billie Jean King passing the women's sports Title IX, right? Unbeknownst to me, here it is 20 years later, and Title IX kept girls' schools dead. You could not start, if you were going to start a girls' school, you had to start a boys' school.
Got it.
That's what Title IX was about, whether it was sports or school or anything. So all of a sudden it's like, what would the world have been like if we actually started 20 or 30 girls' schools in the 60s and 70s instead of not having the ability to do that?
Right.
And we had the right group to go to Raleigh to get that overturned in Raleigh. And the legislature was really supportive right away. I think everybody in town, the money people, the power people, if you say to them, this is what we're going to do, and this is what the payoff's going to be, and they know that you can pull it off, they'll support you.
Yeah.
And we have not had anybody turn us down on anything, to be honest with you. The chefs all come and do fundraisers. The money people in town, the big name people in town have been there. We got the land from Cameron's immediately. It is out by the airport. And they were going to build a Hilton there all these years. And there were so many airplanes coming into the airport all of a sudden as the population grew here so fast. It was not a good place for a Hilton. And then we walked in. And the next thing I know, we had 16, 18 acres out by the airport. So it's been experiences like that have been amazing.
Right.
That have been amazing. If we have, I won't say failed, but if there's one thing I wish we could and would do better, it's to integrate those kids into our world and integrate our world into their.
Right.
Hard to do.
It is. It is.
Do you think it's doable?
I do think it's doable. Honestly, I think the generation that's coming up, what are we in? Gen Z?
Is that what you guys are? Is Gen Z?
Like the young adults that are
Really?
the young adults that are coming up are Gen Z, right? Right. They don't take any crap. They're the ones that are going to be the movers and shakers. They're the ones that are calling out all of the injustice, all the wrongdoings, and really standing behind, that are boycotting these, indiscretions that happen. They're the ones that are going to.
And
be
is
the
it
movers and
integrated
shakers.
or is it not?
Currently speaking, no. But that's what I'm saying. I think this next wave of Gen Zers are going to be the ones that truly integrate everything in every aspect.
So that's what needs to be done.
Absolutely.
That really, yeah.
Absolutely.
When I was kidding you guys before about using the F word, my first graduation speech at Glow, and they're never going to invite me back. I know that.
Yeah.
But it was because we were trying to, we would bring in these speakers to lecture the kids. And one of the kids said to me, it was a very big name in Wilmington that came and lectured them 2 or 3 hours. And it was a big deal to get them out there and whatever. And afterwards, one of the kids came out and I said to the kids, how was it? And she said, Miss Judy, he doesn't have a.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my gosh, we just put two worlds together that collided.
Yeah.
They don't know each other. And the advice he's giving probably makes no sense in their world.
Right.
And I don't know how I think we've come a long way toward overcoming that at Glow, but I don't think we have in the town or in society. Do you?
No, I don't.
No, we all agree it's pretty bad. Yeah.
My producer's off camera's like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, this is pretty bad.
But it's one step at a time, and I think the work that you've done collectively with your board, your principal, the teachers that you choose at Glow really makes a difference. Because like I said, these are now the generations that's going to step into college, that's going to go into these prominent roles, that's going to be business owners, that's going to be in legislation, all of that. And they have this experience of integration, true integration, where they're going to be the movers and shakers, like I said. And it all starts because of the school that they went to.
Yeah. And I don't feel, when I walk on campus now, I don't feel like I'm at a black school.
Right.
Even though it's, 73, 80% black. I don't feel like that. It feels like a school. You're going to college. We have a film course. We have a cooking course, thanks to Emerald and Sony. We have, it's different. It's just a different school. You walk through one of the public schools. Oh, my God.
I don't even have a full set of books.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
They don't have a full, and people are taking books off the library shelf that they don't want read. What is that about?
Right.
Sometimes I think we took step forwards, and sometimes I think
2 steps back. Yeah.
I don't know if we did do that.
Yeah.
The other thing about this town, I should be careful what I say, because I do like living here. So somebody's going to come after me. I can't really tell who the black leadership is. I've never been in a town where it's not obvious. Now, it was big towns, New York, Chicago, LA mostly. But you knew, Reverend was in charge of this, that, and the other. In this town, I was having that conversation with somebody the other night. I said, I don't know. There's a lot of black people that have contributed a hell of a lot to this town, for sure. They're actually not at Glow.
Interesting. No, I was just kidding.
I mean, they've helped, the black churches particularly have helped a lot. But we didn't have to be endorsed by anybody
right
to get the kids. Why the parents trusted us with their kids is beyond me.
Yeah.
We had no idea what we were doing in the beginning.
I think what it boils down to is when they look at the public education here versus charter school, I think the choice is kind of obvious, which segues, because I know Glow, of course, is an all girls' school, but you guys just introduced Spark Academy,
Yeah.
and I'm missing the other one, or is it just Spark?
Spark.
Just Spark.
Yeah. There's Spark. Now there's Glow. And the overall thing is Beacon.
Right. Exactly.
It's the way we've set it up now.
Exactly. Can you
Spark is preschool.
Right.
Everything from 6 months right up to preschool. What we found, it was so clear, so fast, that our biggest problem, which is impossible to solve, really, is that the kids come to us 3 years behind.
Wow.
And that's an enormous, enormous thing to make up.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, okay, if we do a preschool, 6 months to kindergarten, they would at least go into kindergarten at grade level.
Exactly.
Because it starts right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there. They're not at grade level. By the time they get to high school, they're so far behind, they quit because they can't stand. They're just getting D's and F's and yelled at all the time. And they quit because they can't make it up. And they can't make it up on their own.
That's true.
So to walk through there, I wish we had a video of it. I don't have one yet. But to walk through Spark, you guys have to come walk through.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all of these black and white babies together playing. They don't know they're black and white. They have no idea. It's like the perfect setup, you know. And we're going to do 5 of those.
Nice.
And it also allows mothers to go back to work.
Absolutely.
Because that is the biggest, as I understand it, that's the biggest hurdle to working is who's going to take care.
It's going to take care of the kids.
Who's going to take care.
Absolutely. I
So
love
it's
that.
pretty exciting.
Yeah. So I have one more question for you.
Oh, dear. Look at the way she's asking that. No, I'm not telling you about my sex life. It's not happening.
Off the table.
And it's not happening.
Got it.
No. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, go ahead.
My question, out of the many years of everything that you've kind of done, what would be your biggest piece of advice for someone?
Wow. I think in addition to looking at the job and the salary and those specific things, that you need to look at the business culture. You need to look at the president of the company and how does he run it? And do you fit into that value system? And do you like that value system? It's more than just a job. It's your life. It's absolutely your life. And, you know, at one point I decided to go to Lifetime because I was tired of the guys in power. I was at NBC, which is a real power place. And I was tired of that. I'm going to go with her and just women. And we'll build a women's network and it'll be a perfect environment. It was the worst job I ever had.
Oh, my gosh.
It was the worst job I ever had because they, instead of evaluating audience and content and does it match or whatever, they were all out to be feminists.
Right.
Feminists don't watch a lot of TV. Or at least they didn't. They were not good television viewers, so we don't want them.
Right.
We're not on a mission. We're building a network. Could never get that through. So I think I've always thought that you've got to really look at the business culture and make sure it matches who you are and what you're good at.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, it ain't going to work.
That's
You're not going to
great advice. Right. Right.
And most people don't interview. They don't get a chance to interview the president, but particularly in today's world, you can find out an awful lot about somebody and how they work and what their values are. And that would be my advice, actually.
Yeah. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Judy. Amazing episode. Thank you guys for watching the episode. Thank you to our sponsors for helping us produce season 5. And yeah, that's all I got. I'm Rayma T. This is the episode. Thank you for watching season 5. Bye. Hey guys, it's me, Rayma T, and I hope at the end of this episode you felt super inspired to shop within your local community. But make sure to tune in next week where I'll have another entrepreneur to talk about their journey, here only on YouTube.